Hi kiddos, this is Miss Stark with another video. This time we're going to be looking at solving multi-step equations interactive notebook. So our first steps here are to fill in the blanks for step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 using the words in that purple bubble. So right here, our step 1 is to apply a property. The only property there that's listed in the blue purple box is distributive property. Now, distributive property is the property where you multiply the number outside by both numbers or variables inside. So if we look at our example over here in this green box, you will see that we have 3 parentheses 2x minus 1 parentheses. So what we have to do is we got to multiply this 3 to both the 2x and to the minus 1. So step 1 shows that. We got 3 times 2 is 6, so 6x. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3, so 6x minus 3 equals 4x minus 5 minus x. So that is distributive property. Next up is combining any blank terms that are the same on both sides. Now, this is an easy one. It's like. That's what we call these terms that are the same. Any like terms. So we have here, I'm going to make these a little bigger so they look, I can read them better. So we have here, step 2, we combined the 2 3's, minus 3, 2 negative 3's equal negative 6, and we did 4x minus x. So now we ended up with 6x minus 6 equals 3x minus 5. Our next step is to collect all the variables first on one side. You always want to do variables first because we want to deal with positive numbers. And the best way to deal with positive numbers is to make sure the number in front of your variable is a positive number. If you look here at step 3, you will see that we got rid of the 3x, and what we did on one side, we did to the other. Now, we didn't get rid of the 6x because that would make it negative. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't like negative numbers. So I'd rather just leave the 3x and have 3x minus 6 equals negative 5. I'd rather deal with that than negative 6 equals negative 3x minus 5. Because negative numbers tend to make it a little messier. Okay, now that we have variables on both sides, or one side, not both sides, we need to have the constants, or the numbers without variables, on one side, which would be the opposite of where the variable is. So here in our example, step 4, we have 3x minus 6x equals negative 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 6 on both sides because the 6 is with the variable 3x. And the opposite of minus 6 is to add 6. So we add 6 to both sides and we end up with 1. Okay, my last step, step 5, blank or blank each side by the coefficient. Well, I know there's only one word, but technically there should be another. It's going to be divide or multiply because it could be either or. Each side by the coefficient. Now the coefficient is this number in front of the variable. Sometimes it's divided by a number, sometimes it's multiplied by a number. But whatever you do that last. So this is kind of like inverse operations for order of operations. So here we have to divide both sides by 3 because 3 is what x is next to. So we get x equals 1/3. Now we have to check this to make sure we're right. We usually want to choose the simplest form. Usually that is step 2. Because we don't like step 1 because it still has a lot of things that are combined. Like I would have ended up putting 1/3 multiple times. Here, we just put it in twice as opposed to 3 different times. So we plugged it in. So our problem was 6x minus 6 equals 3x minus 5. So 6 times 1/3 minus 6 equals 3 times 1/3 minus 5. So when you multiply a whole number by a fraction, the whole number multiplies by the numerator, the top number. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 divided by 3, because remember, a fraction can be considered as a division problem. 6 divided by 3 minus 6. And then we have 3 divided by 3, because again, we did 3 times the numerator, which is 1, minus 5. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Here's where it gets tricky. 2 minus 6. Well, if you're really good with numbers, you'd find out it's -4. But if you're not, you would add the opposite, where it'd be 2 plus -6. And then you do 6 minus 2, which gets you 4. And then you see that 6 is the bigger digit, so you would put a negative in front of the 4. And then you do the same with 1 minus 5. You can either be really, really good at math and be like, oh, that's -4. Or be like, okay, well, 1 plus -5, I'll just do 5 minus 1, which is 4. 5 is the bigger digit, so it must be -4. And since this is true, -4 does equal -4, we know that x does equal 1/3 is the solution. Now we're going to practice those with these two up here. So our first step is to distribute the 2 to both the x and the 1. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 1 is 2. And then there's no other distributive, so I'm just going to write everything else as is. Okay. My next step is to combine like terms. There are none. What that means is if on one side of the equation I had x's or numbers, constants, I would combine them, but they're on opposite sides of the equation, so I can't do that. So step 3. So step 3, I need to move my variable. So I can either move the 2x or the 3x. Now I like to deal with positive numbers, so I know if I minus the 3x, I'm going to end up with a negative number. So I'm going to get rid of the 2x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the equation, and I'm just going to do minus 2x on both sides. And that gets me 2 equals x minus 1. Let's see, x. Okay. So my next step is to move the constants. Well, my only constant is this -1. And -1, the opposite of that, is +1. So I add 1 to both sides. Okay. That leaves me with 3 on this side equals x. Now you may see that x is on the opposite side compared to the example. That is perfectly fine. X is not needed to be on the right or the left. It could be on either side. So my next step is to input the formula. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take this formula right here, and instead of x, I'm going to replace all of them with 3. Okay. So now here I do order of operations. I don't have any parentheses because the parentheses are just for multiplication. No exponents. I do have multiplication. I have a 6 over here. And 3 times 3 is 9. Okay. Now I add or subtract. Here, this 6 plus 2 is 8. And 9 minus 1 is also 8. Since they are the same, this is correct. Okay. My next one. So step 1, apply distributive property. So I gotta do 2 times x and 2 times 1. And I gotta do 2 times x and 2 times 2. So 2 times x is 2x plus 2 times 1 is 2 plus another 2x equals another 2x plus 2. Okay, so now we combine like terms. Like terms would be including these two 2x's next to each other. So 2x plus 2x equals 4x. And then everything else is the same because I can't combine anything else. Okay, so my next step, step 3, is collect the variables on one side. I'm going to get rid of the 2x just because it is easier to deal with positive numbers than it is negative. So I'm going to do minus 2x on both sides. Okay. Let's see, 4x minus 2x. And just to let you know right here, you do see that it does say 2x minus 4x, but I know that that is actually going to be this. 4x minus 2, so I'll just put that there so it doesn't confuse you guys, because otherwise we would end up with a negative number and we don't want that. So I'm just going to leave it like this. Equals, let's see, I got rid of that 2x, so it's just 2. Oh, wait. In case you guys didn't notice, I made a mistake. So I forgot to multiply the 2 and the 2. I just put 2. It should be 4 all the way down. Okay, that's better. So now we got this. So now what we're going to do is get rid of this 2 because it is with my variable and I want all the variables on the other side. So the opposite of plus 2 is minus 2. Okay, so this is still 2x. 4 minus 2 is 2. Now it looks like here I need to divide both sides by 2. So how I'm going to do that is I'm just going to do the simple division sign for the computer is just the slash, which should be next to your shift button on the right hand side. You're going to divide both sides by 2 because that's what's with x, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So what we're left with is x equals 1. And again, we're going to check it. We're going to check it with this one right here, where after we combined all the like terms, and instead of x, we're going to have 1. And now we just use order of operations. So there's no parentheses, or at least nothing we can do inside the parentheses. There's no exponents. We do have multiplication. 4 times 1 is 4. Everything else stays the same. 2 times 1 is 2. And everything else stays the same. Well, this is pretty. Look, they're exactly the same, just reversed order. So this is just 6 equals 6. You would do the same thing, Combine, first you distribute property. It looks like these two do not have distributive property, so you'd skip step 1. Combine like terms. You would combine whatever's the same on one side. Moving the variables and constants if needed. It looks like this one doesn't need it, but this one would. And then multiplying it or dividing to find out what x equals. And it looks like this is just going to be divide, but there are times where you might need to multiply. And that's all you guys need to do. You guys have any questions, let me know. I hope this video has helped, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye!